All right, everybody, welcome back to a very late installment of This Week in UVS. I've been kind of slacking on this. I've been doing a bunch of deck profiles, so don't like hate me on that one. So, um, pretty good couple weeks after the AOT release and all that. We had a bunch of IPs released. There's a video on the channel for that one. I'll try to card it somewhere in the corners. But really, the big news this week after the case event where I played Rhina Braun off death and got fourth. There was a big ban and errata list. Huzzah! Ban and erratas. So I got the article pulled up. I'm not really going to read through the whole thing. I just have it for background, so it's not just some big dead space. But I will go ahead and just page through it. So Mikasa got smacked. Instead of now being able to clear any card, she has to clear weapon cards. It still allows her to play the same game. It's just she doesn't get to just kick everything. So like you could still play Lightning Rod. You could still play 8. You should still play 8%. You could still technically play Beast Summoning, but it's really weird because you're gonna have multiples in the discard pile and then have form speed discard. But the easiest way to do this is what you're going to play like get in, get out. You're gonna play This Is My Chance. And then that's how you're gonna start clearing cards that aren't weapons. So she's still good. Like I still think she's still a very viable deck. She's just not the turn 2 monster that she was, and that's what people are looking for is like a turn 2 monster. But we don't want turn 2 monsters. Like maybe like 1 or 2 out of 10 times you get turn 2 is probably fine from an aggro deck, but an aggro deck really should kill you on turn 3 like a Pony, which is the best turn 3 deck in the format, I believe. So Pony's still a beast, and I'm surprised she didn't even. I wonder if she's even on a watch list, or if any of the cards in the deck are in a watch list. But Beast Summoning surprisingly escaped this ban and errata list, and if we see that in Atlanta, we're probably going to see it getting banned after Atlanta and after regional season, where it's going to wreck regional season, because that's the way it happens. So this this whole ban and errata section came out of nowhere, because normally they like to let things go. So maybe the case event kind of helped out, because Barrett Bryant from Playtest was there, and we were able to get things kind of changed. But we'll get into the next one. Much to no one's surprise, Rhina Braun Armored Titan got changed. It is now your attack for his enhance of your attack and the ruin part of his enhances. It's sad. I've tried it with the errata at locals this past Wednesday. It didn't feel that great. He's just on par with everybody else now. Like he's not the defensive monster that he was. But he's still very good, so he's probably moving away from the 4-check attack package that a lot of people were playing. Either you're playing a mix with Ravages of War and other good solid 3-check attacks, or you're just playing like that what I call the younger Togoro builds, is where you're just playing value attacks and you're drawing, and you're just attacking over and over and over, and you're playing a D build package, but then you're playing your attacks. You're just it's like a pressure deck. You're just constantly pushing pressure. Next, Godzilla got a clarification. Yeah, he reads commit. His form is what they clarified. So commit, discard 4 cards, destroy all foundations. It doesn't say in both stages. It just destroy foundations. So people have been playing Godzilla wrong, technically, but we've been playing the way he's intended, where he nukes everything. So he just got a clarification of in all stages now. He destroys all foundations in all stages. Moving on, Gyrospace. This came out of left field. It didn't get banned. It got errated to state that you remove applause counters from your character, so you can get the attack with greater speed. The damage gets 1 and 3. But that also leads into the next thing. A clarification on the counters is that if your character has counters on them and they have an ability that removes counters, it has to come from the character. Because there was a lot of question with Irwin, and there was a question with Krista, that it says remove X counters, do a thing. It didn't specify from this card. So now they're self-referential, I think is the word I'm looking for, is that they'll remove counters from the character card themselves. So, um, and then they did a clarification with stamina, similar to the counter above. Stamina can only be paid for the card by the card with an ability being used. You can't use stamina from one backup to pay the cost of another one. So that it was kind of think just commonplace. We assumed that. So, but it's good that they got a clarification there because some people, blah 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 blah. But yeah, that was it for the ban and errata list for September. So moving into more ban and errata lists, I think there was a few misses in my opinion. It was only 3, so I think they got half the ban and errata list right. It's first up with Smiling Titan. This character is a negative play experience. Sure, she's a Nomu. She's the gatekeeper. People who are prepared for her are going to stomp her. But I think with the 4-check attack package, which will lead into a later point in the video, this is going to be a kind of a longer soapboxy video. I just think she's not fun to play against, and I don't think she's fun to play as, to be honest. I think she's a very boring character. She has a very boring play pattern. On turn 2, she just drops you to half your health. If you don't have the correct pieces in play on turn 2, you just get nuked. Or if you don't go first and you can't build twice, you just get half your health waxed. That's like no fun, especially with 7-handers where you start with like, even the older 7-handers where they're 20, 19, 21. Like she chucks her Ravages of War or hell, she throws a Colossal Titan attacks on turn 2 at 16 health. That puts you to 4. Like, how is that fun? That's just not fun. It's like, oh darn, I didn't build my reset on turn 2. I didn't build my Genkai's Guidance to deep build myself 3 on turn 2, so I have to rebuild and then die on the next turn. I just think she's just negative for the game. I think that she should have probably just been damage. Like, I could see them just taking the speed part off, and then she'd be fine. She'd just really be Nomu, right? She'd still work with her response. She could still play the armor, the attack, the Titan shifter abilities. I just don't think she should give speed. Because we've learned in the past that Ojiro 2 sucks, and it's not fun to play against a character that gives unilateral stats and scaling unilateral stats. So next is vertical maneuvering equipment. That card should have unique. If anyone saw the case event from Borsat Games the last weekend in August, you saw George Zhang playing a Ryuku deck, which is fine. Ryuku deck's cool. Ryuku got a huge boost in Attack on Titan, but that character prints momentum on your turn and on their turn. So vertical maneuvering gear, he had 2 of them out, and Jacob Johnson had to kill him through minus 30 damage and perfect blocking. That's stupid. Like, that should not happen. It should have unique on it. Or it should have I don't want it to have Attack on Titan only abilities, but I think it just needs to have unique, and it's fine. People are still going to pack 2 to 3. It's still a very powerful card. It still feels good to have in the deck, especially if you're able to print momentum like Ryuku, which leads me into my next point. I think Ryuku should be twice per turn. Again, George Zhang playing Ryuku at the case event. There were times where he had more momentum than Foundations. Yeah, that's just dumb. Like, that should not happen. That character is not, I want to say she's out of hand, but now that character is probably a problem because she's able to print momentum on your turn. Like, when you attack into her and she VMEs and then blocks the blank and then gets them at momentum back and cycles a card, she's progressing her game plan on your turn. And that it feels more toxic than Reiner does, right? Like, he also did the same thing. He progressed his game plan on your turn, and that doesn't feel very good. And I think the Ryuku miss, I think that vertical maneuvering and Smiling Titan, so Smiling Titan could be or just nuke the speed. It's fine. Make him make a decision. Just not, I turn my character sideways. It's make him make a decision. But yeah, that's it for the misses on the bans and errata list. So I have a giant page of notes. This is a big one. This weekend we had the Let's Talk UVS, and Tamara Cardwell second webcam regional. Um, I know they were short, maybe like 10 or 15 players, but they still had a really good turnout. It was like 50 something, so that's awesome. Um, Toga 3 won the event, baby. We're back. Toga 3, we're back. Cheers. Definitely cheers. So Toga 3 took it down with Chaos. It's still a good deck, guys. Fun fact, she was only playing VME. Maybe they didn't own Risky Encounters. Maybe they didn't feel like they needed it. But they did beat a King Ghidorah deck in finals, which was very impressive because that's one of Toga 3's worst matchups because all the -1 incrementals makes it like you don't have a character on your first attack. So and it's very, very hard. And it's very hard to, like, the evil build doesn't, which is the deck that was in finals, doesn't have a lot of stun hate like the Void build does, like Ben Lambright's Void build, which is a pain in the ass to get through because it's keeping the area safe and elasticity. Um, it's just very hard to push through all that. But the evil build doesn't have as much. So, and you just start removing all of their 100% unleashed, and they can't block your deception daggers ever, unless they get a huge stage and block. So yeah, or barrier shield it. But then you just wait till they waste all their barrier shields, and then you just start going in. And yeah, it was crazy. It was really good. Congratulations on the Toga 3 player for winning that. I personally had an LQ that day, and I couldn't play in the webcam event, and I probably would have if I didn't have a LQ to go to. I probably would have played in the webcam event because I had nothing to do and my wife was out of town. So I played Krista off of order. I saw the deck on Ace Maneuver's channel. I'll go ahead and link that in the description box below. He was playing her on TTS, and I saw him draw like 10 cards in a turn with Wall Maria, and yeah, I was hooked. I was like, okay, I need to get my Wall Marias, I need to get my pressing the advantages, and then that's it. That's really all that and the character card, right? We needed it. That's pretty much it from AOT that we needed. Oh, I should probably just pull up the deck list, right? Because I have it ready. Um, so the real big thing with her is that we get to stack. Every time we discard a card, we get 2 wall counters on her, and we get stun, and we get to stack a card on top of each other's player's deck. So it allows to. It's a lot of really cool play patterns where, depending on what's in your discard pile, is what you check, is what you're gonna draw. Pressing the advantage is in there for just straight gas, man. This card, crazy. Wall Maria's Might just progresses our game plan, refills our hand. One of the cool MVPs of the deck, Heaven Piercing Ice Wall. I played against a Smiling Titan in the final round, and in game, I think it was game 2, or it was game 2 or 3. Maybe it was game 1. I don't remember when it was, but I got to freeze 4 foundations by playing this attack back to back and removing 1 counter each, and then readying a face down to draw a card after I had stacked another attack. So that was really cool. Obviously, walk the dog. I always forget absorbed energy spirit strike because there's no keywords, and I always forget that. But it's really good momentum hate. This actually was like the worst card in the deck at times because we were able to block so well. We never gave our opponent momentum for the most part, except for Big Mouth Titan round 1 where they just get momentum for free. So Ogre Killer was a really cool standout. It's a stun 2. Actually, technically, it's a stun 3 card because you flip for 1, stun for 1, remove a counter for 1, and it dealt with VME and capes and stuff like that. So, we're order, and we played the cool assets. Obviously, we play Showdown. I boarded in another Showdown maybe once, and I boarded another Iden box once. Photon's coaching because we plus off of this. Foresight because we want to build as much as possible on turn 1. Saving Bakugo probably could be any other 0 diff, but I don't want to pack another low block. Order, please give me an order high block with a 0, please. That'd be great. Horrifying Realization goes in the character because we stack during the enhanced step, and then we just draw the card. Public Support was some really neat tech. We enjoyed playing that. Crimson. I'm just gonna skip all these other cards because the real MVP of the deck was this Crimson Sparrow, Yu Yu Hakusho reprint, which is really crazy, right? She says discard one card. This attack gets +1 or -2 speed. So defensively, it was we get 2 counters and -2 speed. And so if we have a bunch of cards from Wall Maria's Might, like a bunch of foundations, we just pitch those to get counters, stack our attacks to draw our attacks, to sculpt our hand. It's really, really sick. And we play the final test, Award the Victor combo. I think I'm going to change Award the Victor to probably the new #1. Yeah, it's really cool if I can pull pull it off. But I think I'm going to give it another round of locals or an LQ again before I make any major changes. I think new #1 would just be better because I'm able to stack and draw with Final Test and Horrifying Realization. This also is another stacking ability that I don't have to use my counters on. So I was also surprised because Crimson Sparrow was so good. I was also surprised on how often I had 10 counters, which was crazy, right? So yeah, in the board, uh, I brought in Genkai's Guidance once, detailing the plan. I came in against Smiling Titan, against Colossal Titan attacks. I never brought in a 10 Stare. Can't Escape Me never came in because I didn't really face a bunch of decks that drew a lot of cards. Hacker didn't need it because I didn't see any assets. I actually cited out my Hacker to bring in another Idun box. Ichigaki Showdown. These are just make more of the same card. I did lose I won game 1 against Smiling Titan, and then I lost game 2 very convincingly because I went first game 1, they went first game 2, and then game 3, I built 3, and I'm like, well, I lost because the player that was playing the Life Smiling Titan built 6 on their turn 1, because there's no risk, and that leads me into my soapbox. So Forecheck Tribal. This is an issue I think that don't know how many people share my sentiment about it, but I think it's toxic for the game. It's a negative play experience, and it's just not fun to play against it, just based on like how not risky it is to play it. You would think it's a risk to play an 8 diff, check a 4, commit 4, but on turn 2, when you're Smiling Titan specifically, this is basically Smiling Titan hate, because she makes them more of a problem than they are, but they're still an issue. There's no risk of missing a turn 1 build of 5 or 6. There just isn't. Unless you draw a bunch of 2s. That's basically it. That's the only way. Because you can go, your 3 diffs are 2s, your 2 diffs are 1s, your 1 diffs are 0s, your 0s are -1s when building. Granted, the Life build has better 0s than everybody, so they're able to build out for 5 to 6 on turn 1. My opponent built 7 once, and that was crazy. So there's just no risk. Like the Death build, the Death primary build has some issues because it's playing a bunch of 3s and 2s, so it doesn't build out. So it doesn't feel like there's much of a problem there. But the Life build can build 5 to 6 constantly, and it's not even like a question of if. It's always how much more they're building outside of 5. Point number 2. The attacks are scaled like 8 divs, right? Like there's no drawback to playing them other than checking a 4. Darn. I have to commit 4. If I check a 4, I have to commit 4 of my 6 foundations on turn 2. Like I commit my character, I commit 3 foundations. Sometimes I play the ones that ready, or the ones that say I get +2 to my check. So it means I commit less. Also, I can also play Blood Evaluation, which readies. I can play see off of Death, you can play a Refreshing Slice. to basically stun your opponent character to give you like a momentum out. But they're just traditionally, which also traditionally in the older version of the game, like a retro or even legacy, they were a thing. It happened. They were cards like clones. I'll pull that up right here. I should have pulled this up prior. We'll pull up clones. See if it. Yep, cool. We see it. Awesome. So it's a 5-check attack actually. It says okay. So it's a 3-check attack. No, it's a 3 difficulty 5-check attack, right? Um, so it also has a really bad ability. Choose one resource symbol that attack gains that attack. This attack gains that resource symbol. So I didn't play in retro, so I'm not sure if you did not. So it worked with itself, right? So you would play that E, and then you would play the E on clones in your stage, and it would get a damage. So like the ability wasn't that great, and it's not statted the best. It's a 3 mid for 5, and it's only getting damage. It's not wrecking your stage. It's not wrecking your hand. It's not a 10 damage throw that builds itself into a backup. It also doesn't ready a backup to draw a card. It's a very basic, like, bad ability. But people played this because it checked a 5 on an attack. And there were a few other split cards in the past that people played that had other abilities that weren't as powerful as Ravages of War or Duplicitous Recollection, or there's the 1/8 diff 4-check that we don't know whose attack it is, because technically it's Mikasa tearing up Annie, but it's a Titan attack. And that one gets huge too. But I guess that kind of leads into like the Smiling Titan argument. Like if Smiling Titan didn't exist, right? I don't think it would be that big of a problem, maybe. Let's pull up Smiling Titan. So Smiling Titan gives everything +X, X equals the printed difficulty -4. So it's like you're dealing on. So which leads me into my next point. The turn 2 pressure makes people have to have the answer on turn 2 or they lose, right? Like it presents this really stressful negative play experience that it isn't fun, man. It's just this character isn't fun to fight against. It's just, I don't know, man. It just sucks. So like I said in my ban and errata section, that if they just took the speed off of her or made it speed or damage and make your opponent make a decision instead of going turn my brain off, turn her sideways, I just think that it would be, more fair. Or like if you're going to let her have speed or damage, you can also just put a once per turn on her, which kind of feels bad because then she's a both once per turn. So like speed, like I think speed or damage or just damage would be better. Also, point 4, my final point in my soapbox argument against 4-check tribal. Eventually, if more 4-check attacks come out, eventually it's just going to push out all the 3-check and lower attacks, right? If they make enough, if infinity ones, or if they make more on other symbols, because Chaos right now could play in a 4-check attack package. Life has one. Fire, I believe, might have one. I know one of the 8 diffs check a 3, which kind of feels bad. Where the rest of them are all check 4s. But you would eventually could just push out all the 3-check attacks, and then why am I not just playing all 4 checks for a turn 1 5 to 6 build, and then I can just string out a bunch of shit. So that one's probably more to like the doom saying, but the other points are actually pretty valid. Like I think winning the die roll against Smiling Titan is the number one thing you want. Like you want to win the die roll, and that just feels bad because like if you don't win the die roll, you might as well already play at half health, right? And if you're playing a 7-hander with 20 health and they slam Colossal Titan attacks, and it's for 16, you have no way to interact with the speed or damage, you just start the game at 4 health. And that just sucks. That doesn't feel good, right? So, I don't know. I hope they look at her again. I hope they, not that they were going to have an emergency ban errata after the webcam community regional, um, but I think that they missed it. They missed this, and they missed VME, and they missed Ryuku. So I really think that they should go in, look at the data again, and I don't know if they're going to do anything before Atlanta, but they might have to. I think they should, because the Ryuku VME thing's a fucking problem. That's dumb. So, but that's it, guys. That's my soapbox portion of the video. Sorry, this one went almost a half an hour. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the ban and errata list. Were there any misses? Were they all hits? In your opinions, let me know in the comments. Also, what do you think about forecheck tribal? Like, I mean, I think like I probably shouldn't have been all negative about it, but I think like there's the only positive thing is that they're kind of cool, but they also feel bad. So it's just like there's more negatives than positives when it comes to that, and I think a lot of it leads just to Smiling Titan, and I think that's the big NPE factor in the room. So, but again, thanks for watching. If you're at the end of the video, we really appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, and then also the Sasha giveaway will start tomorrow on the 9th, and then it will go to the 13th. So don't forget, look out for that post, and until the next one, take care, everybody.